All right, so this is a quick video to show you how to bring your motion capture that you have in zip files here into your Unreal Engine scene and then add it to your character. So that involves retargeting. We did it with some Mixamo clips and characters, and now we're going to do it with your Metahuman character and using these zip files. I'm going to go ahead and download one of these. So let's, I processed all of these, like for instance, these clips here from Natalia. I processed and exported as FBX files. I used the Unreal Engine exports, so it's going to be optimized for the Manny character or the Manny character controller inside of Unreal Engine 5.4. So 30 frames per second is what we're using. And I exported these clips. You can see this one has already been processed. And those end up being export files. So if we look here, I have some Noidum exports and I have some Rococo exports and some other folders, and these are some of the ones. These are the ones from Natalia that were on Thursday. And so let's take one of these and we'll bring it into our scene. So you can see in my scene, I've made a couple of folders in here, just in my content area. Just right click and choose new folder and make a couple of content folders or one content folder, because yours is going to be one or the other. And so I have a Rococo clips and I've got a Noidum clips. This is going to be from Rococo, so I'm going to go into here. And then I will go ahead and make a folder for whatever clip I'm bringing in. I could bring them all into one folder, but then there's going to be a lot of files. I might get them mixed up. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to make a new folder. You could do, like in this case, Natalia clips folder, and inside of there, I might actually want multiple folders. Like I could make a folder for each clip here. Let's just choose one of these that has a little bit on it. So this one's 8 megabytes. It's Witch 2. Let's bring that one in and see what it looks like. So we're looking at Witch 2. And so inside of my Unreal Engine scene, I'm going to make a new folder here for Natalia Witch 2. And we'll bring that one in by just choosing the folder and dragging it in. So this is the one actually, they all say Witch 2. Let's see, which one did I want? Natalia 3, Witch 2. Okay. So let me just go back. I'm just going to rename this folder. To Natalia 3, Witch 2, and bring that one in like so. Now, when it comes in, it's going to bring up this FBX imports options. You need to choose a skeleton. That's the main thing. And you're going to want to choose the SK mannequin. Now, if it doesn't show up here, which it might not, you've got to go. I'm just going to cancel that for a second. You got to go to your add button here in the content browser, and you've got to go to add feature or content pack. click on that and choose the third person and add to project. That's going to have that mannequin in it. And so when you do that, it's going to add a third person folder that has blueprints in it. And it's going to have the third person blueprint in there. And it's also going to have some other things that you're going to need to bring that character in. Actually, it'll also make this characters folder. And the one I'm looking for is actually under mannequins. Let's see, probably meshes. Yeah. So these are what I'm looking for here. And that's what the one I'm going to use, SK Mannequin. It's the one for the newest skeletal mesh mannequin. So if I go back to my Rococo clips and go into my the Natalia one that I want to bring in, then I'm just gonna go drag that in there again. And this time we'll choose under skeleton the one that I want, which is the SK mannequin. And once you choose that, you can leave everything else, I think, at the defaults. I didn't change anything in here. We're importing animations that needs to be on. We're using the exported time. And we're not changing anything under the rotation or translation for the import. We do have convert scene on, but that's all. And we're creating a local materials folder, even though we're not using materials at all. So go ahead and import that in. And it should add a few files there. You'll get a warning. That's okay. Just close it. It'll make a skeletal mesh physics asset. And the one that you want is the animation sequence. You can double click that to open it and look at it. See what it looks like. You can see the fingers are moving. You can see it looks pretty good. So I think that looks fine. I'm going to just close that. We'll do a save all. And then I need to retarget this to the other, to the Metahuman skeleton, which I'm using for my character. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to retarget animations. Brings up this window. There's a bunch of stuff in here, but I want to look for the one that I brought in. So I only really need the one for the particular take that I brought in. You can see there's a bunch of stuff here. I don't want to use that. I'm going to use this one, Natalia 3. If you double click it, actually, sorry, it'll start playing it, but we want to actually retarget it. So let me choose under target your DNA for your metahuman. So it's going to be something like F or M underscore TAL, or it's either short, medium, or tall, NRW. It'll have a similar setup to this. It'll say skeletal mesh and underscore body. And you'll only see the hands and feet on it. That's the one you want to choose for your metahuman. You should see it moving there with the character. And then you want to export the animation. And you're going to do it to your animations folder. So I'm just going to make sure I'm saving it in my animations folder, whatever I have in my content folder. I have an anims folder, which I've been putting the animations, just so you can find them. You can put a name in here. I mean, it's going to come up actually as this name. So I'm not sure, even if you have to use this. I usually put something in here, but I think maybe it's just not really even being used. So I'm going to skip the naming part and just hit export and see what happens. I think it's just going to come up as this name. And then it's going to go into my anims folders. So let's try that. We're looking for Natalia 3, which 2. I'm going to export it. You're going to just leave this at the defaults, include reference assets and export. And it opens that folder and I can see that it's there and it has the name on it. Okay, so I think that's fine. What you may want to do is take a look at it and see if you need to change anything about the skeleton that it's using. So if I double click that one and open it, I'm going to see it on my character because but I'm I think that there were some things on the shoulders and stuff that are just there because I noticed it also on the mannequin. So I don't think that's really a retargeting issue. But if I think there's any retargeting issues, I could go to the skeleton tree on the left here. There's asset details and then there's skeleton tree. And I can switch to show retargeting. And this is the retargeting that you actually want for your main character, for this metahuman character. I've already set mine up that way because that's just something I automatically do when I first bring in an animation. So I don't really have to set it up again. But the way you set it up is you right click the top of this and you recursively set everything to skeleton. And then you go back and manually set the first 2 to animation. So root and pelvis. And that's going to be the correct way to set up a metahuman. But you can see I've still got some weird things on the shoulders that are happening. That's something that has to do with the way the suit was fitting, or possibly just something in the retargeting process. So that's probably, I mean, that might be okay on a witch character because it's going to look creepy, but it might look too weird and you might want to fix that when you get to the part of fixing your character a little bit. But otherwise, it's looking good. The hands look good. There's a lot of expression in the movements here. So I'm just going to hit save here and close this. It looks fine. And I see I have one unsaved on the bottom, so I'm going to do a file save all. And then I'm going to test this out in a sequence. So I'm just going to make a new sequence for this by going up to my clapboard here, the clapboard symbol, and you're going to add a level sequence. You're going to add that into, you should have a sequences folder. And I want to name it something probably with, to tell me what that is. Let's just do Natalia Rococo test. And I'll hit save. And so I have this empty sequence and I want to see what the animation looks like on this character. So I have to pull the BP Topher Metahuman into my sequencer. And of course, if you already have your character in a sequencer and you just want to add the animation to it, then you don't have to do a new one like this. You can just add it to the one that you have in there, but this is just to look at it by itself and to simplify it so I don't have too much stuff in here. Of course, when you pull your character in for the first time into sequencer, you're going to get this control rig. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to delete the face one too. And that just leaves the body and face. And I want to add this body track, this motion capture body track to the body. So I'm going to go to plus here and animation, and I should find it in my list of animations. It's a body track, so it will automatically come up. And I'm looking for, I could just type in Natalia so that I see that one come up and I can choose it. And it's going to put it on my track. And you can see that, when you first come in and you make a sequencer, it's going to be set to like 200 frames or 165 frames. So you're going to want to go in there and just put it to 5,000. I usually just put it to 5,000 so that I have a decent amount of frames to just pull this red one out to. So that's the end of your sequence. That red is your out point. So in the green one's your in point. You just pull that out. Doesn't matter if it's exactly on 5,000, just so I can see it. And then I'll adjust my timeline view control by pulling the right in until I'm mostly looking just at this sequence. And then we can sort of adjust our view a little bit. We don't need this animation window that came up, so I'm going to close that. It'll just give me more space for viewing my character. I can adjust this a little bit and maybe zoom out a little bit. I do want to see the character. I want to see the, I'm holding Alt and middle and left mouse button to come in a little bit. I want to see the character because I want to see the hands. I want to make sure the hands are moving and everything. I might just scrub it by grabbing this top part here and moving it just to make sure that I see the hands are moving. The shoulders are a little weird, but again, I think that might actually look good on this character. But I could fix that later on by baking to a control rig. But we can just play it and see what that looks like. And it looks pretty good. So, of course, I don't want to use all of this track. Like there's some stuff probably at the beginning, like the T-pose and stuff that you don't want. Maybe I want to start it sort of partway in here, just like maybe right there. And so I'd want to go to the beginning of this track till the cursor changes to this sort of arrows, left and right arrows, and just drag that back to snap on what I'm selected here. And that's basically just clipping that first part. It's kind of cutting it off. And then I'll just pull everything. I'll go to the beginning, to the front, and just drag this, and it'll snap to 0. So now it starts in the actual animation. And of course, there's probably stuff at the end that I want to cut off too. I don't know how long we want this to go on, but we can cut it off somewhere at the end here too. But maybe also I want to bring in another clip and mix it with this one. So, I could bring in another clip from my motion capture. I could also bring in clips from Mixamo. We should try that just to make sure that's going to work. They should work as long as you retarget them to the same skeleton. It should actually work. So let's say that there's something that I want to put in my animation. We'll just close this window. In Mixamo, that I can't do, like a flip. So in Mixamo, I've typed in flip, and I've looked for an animation with the flip, and I've got the YBot character, which is the very simple one. And I've imported the YBot character before, so I've downloaded the YBot character in a T-pose when I was doing my Mixamo stuff. So if you look in here, there's a YBot Mixamo here already in the T-pose. And I already brought that in, so that's a skeleton in my scene already that I can use for any animation that I bring from Mixamo. And if you don't have that, you're going to have a problem because you won't have the skeleton to choose when you import the Mixamo clip. So if I don't have that, then I'd want to basically stop this, delete this one by clicking the arrow here, or sorry, not the arrow, the X. And then I just get the T-pose and download the T-pose as is as an FBX binary. I already have that, so I don't need to do that. I just want this flip thing that that I had a second ago, which was this one here. So that's something that I'd hurt myself if I tried to do it. So it's here. I'd like my witch character to be able to do that, maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. So I'd hit download, and I'd choose FBX binary without skin and 30 frames per second. Again, that's what we exported our motion capture clips as 30 frames per second. So you want to use the same timing. And I don't need keyframe reduction. I just download that. Make sure you use a binary. Okay, so I already did that. I have that already in a Mixamo folder. So in my Mixamo downloads here, I have that getting hit backwards FBX. So I'm going to bring that in, and I want to try to mix it, retarget it, and then mix it with what we've already got. And it should work, but we'll see. You know, I want to test this. So I have a Mixamo folder here already. I could just bring it into the YBot folder because I have that as well, and just put it in here. You can see I've got a zombie walk already there. I've got a thriller thing there. So let's do that. Let's bring it into this folder. And so if I go back to my Mixamo folder and I drag that particular clip in, I'm going to get the same window. It automatically recognized the YBot skeleton because I already had it in here. So it found it without me even having to choose it, and that's the correct one. And then I'm going to leave everything else at the defaults and import it. And then we'll check it out and see if it's there. There it is. Let's open it up, see what it looks like, and there it is. So now I have this animation, and I want to retarget this. Everything looks fine with this, so I'm just going to close it. I'm going to right-click this one and retarget the animations just like I did before. And we're going to retarget it to the Metahuman DNA that I've been using, MTAL, normal weight body. Click on it. It's going to bring it in. If I double click the clip that I'm using here, you'll see it. And it looks like it's working fine. So let's go ahead and export that animation. I have it selected. Export it. I'm not going to bother renaming it. Again, I'm just going to make sure it goes to my anims folder, and I'm going to export it. So it takes me to that anims folder, and there it is, getting hit backwards. Let's open it up. And there it is. Looks fine on my character. My retargeting options are going to be the same because I haven't changed them. I'm going to close it. I'm going to save all. And then I'm going to put this on my sequence here. So I'm just going to take my timeline and bring it out past the sequence that I currently have. That was the Mocap sequence. And I'm going to go to where I make sure I'm on the animation track, find the plus symbol, and I want to add the one that I just did for Mixamo. Getting hit. I don't know where it is, so I'm going to type in hit and getting hit backwards. I'm going to choose it. And it's obviously really short. Short animation. I can see that it looks good on my character, and I want to see if I can mix it with this animation. Or maybe this animation doesn't need to be this long. Maybe I use a little bit here and do a couple of those, and then right here, I'm going to get hit. So I'm going to pull this animation back and cut off all the rest of it. And then I'm going to bring this one in, zoom in on it, and I want to overlap that. So I'm going to bring this into where I think it's going to need to overlap, maybe right there. We'll try it. And then I'm going to pull this over it so that there's a little bit of an overlap there. It's pretty good, but he's dipping down into the ground. So I'm going to need to do some kind of matching on this clip. I don't know what's going to be the best thing for that. Could be the hips, could be the hips, or it could be maybe a foot. He's kind of leaning towards the left foot. So let's just, for the heck of it, let's try the left foot and see. I will usually try to use a foot. It doesn't always work well. So we want match with this bone in previous clip. And we're going to find the left foot. This character's left foot. You can try and type it in the top, but it's really hard the way this is set up to actually kick out of it really easily. So I'm just going to manually go down there and find the looking for foot left. So I got my toes there, got my fingers. So that's all right. Those have R's on them. Maybe it's towards the top. So these skeletons come up a little different each time. There it is, left foot. Let's try that and just see. It did not really change it at all. So I'm gonna right click it and let's try the pelvis. I definitely moved. Now it's doing a little dip, but it's going forward. Don't want that. So let's try something else. This can be a trial and error thing. You don't really necessarily know what's going to be the best thing for this. I could try the uh, let's try the base of the spine. So maybe we need to, okay. So let's go back to the pelvis again, but I'm going to turn on some other things here. So I want to match the height because it's dipping. And right now it's just really matching X and Y translation. I want to match also the Z height. And maybe that might actually get rid of the dipping. Okay, did not. But I'm gonna go back to the foot. And I don't really, I could try either foot, it doesn't matter. If I do want to try to type in foot, to bring up both the feet there. The problem is, see my cursor's way up here. And if I try to bring it down, it's gonna go over something and it sometimes kicks it out. So you have to kind of do it really carefully. So, okay, we'll use the left foot again and see if that locks him down at all. It unfortunately does not. So I can look at some other things here, but I've got all these done and it's still not preventing him from dipping a little bit right before he does his jump. So I'm thinking that it's going to have to be manually fixed. I'm not going to be able to actually fix this. I mean, just for the heck of it, let's try the head. That's the top part of his body. I don't know that that would make, oh, that's even worse. So no, we don't want that. And so let's go back to pelvis. And pelvis is pretty bad too. So this is going to have to be manually fixed. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do with this. I'm going to go back to the foot. You want to choose whatever you think might be the best thing. I'll choose the right foot since we didn't try that just for the heck of it. And that's probably the best one. He's still dipping a little bit right there, but he's not moving much. And so I can fix that. I can set keyframes to fix that on a control rig. Just to keep his feet from whole body from dipping like that. But you can see that it's mixing the two animations pretty much just fine. And if we play that, we can see the characters doing its thing, and then it makes the jump. So, of course, I'd want something after that. I'd want to bring in maybe another clip from the mocap session and import it into the end of this, move the beginning and end around to clip it, and then overlap it with this one and then match as I did here. You want to do some matching because if you don't, you're just going to have more stuff to fix. You can try to get it as close as possible. I could try to mess with moving this back and forth. I didn't want to go too deep into this jump clip because he's off the ground not long after that mix. So if I pull it too far, I'm actually going to be mixing it from him being off the ground, which really wouldn't work. So I think it's okay. I maybe want to mix it less. I mean, I could try to zoom in a little bit on that area and just try to pull it back a little bit. It's easier if you move this to somewhere and then snap to it by moving this. So now it snaps there. And now he's still dipping. Actually, I think that's a little worse. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to Control Z undo that and look at it again. And I think that's better. That looks a little better to me, a little smoother. I'll just have to manually fix that. So at this point, I would want to keep working on this sequence and then put some camera animation. I don't even have a camera in here. Of course, if you're already working on a sequence, then you would have a camera in here. But I need to pull my camera in to, I mean, these sequences are not that complex. You want to try to make them as good as possible as a sequence, just looking at it the way I'm doing right now. And then you're going to want to make frame that sequence as well as possible with your camera using some cinematography and have some parts where maybe you zoom into the face or you want to show the body, the whole body from for certain parts. Once we do the dialogue and facial animation, I'm going to want you to have some shots that are close in on the face. But we don't have to think about that now. We're just working on this sequence to make it as good as possible. That's all for now. And work on your sequences to get them as good as possible. And it should be not just one. I don't want to see just one sequence that you captured. I want multiple things that you're mixing together like this to create a longer full animation sequence. It's not just a little move. It needs to be a full sequence. So that means that you really need to bring in probably multiple clips from the capture sessions as well as from Mixamo or other sources. You could try other sources and retarget them in the exact same way and bring them in here, and they should mix together with your character. Okay. We'll look at these. You'll work on these on Tuesday, and they're going to be due on Thursday, and I'll talk more on Tuesday about it.